Welcome in, IllinoisPrep.com, Skylar King, Eric Seals, our 25th and final playoff preview of the teams that not only are in the playoffs, but that we've been out, seen their games, got some game film on them. And it's Downers Grove South, the Mustangs, former 8A team champions back when I was in high school. Yep. You might have been a freshman when they
I definitely remember the teams.
Won the state title. And the Mustangs, a little rough in the early going. I was at their opener, 28-21 loss to Bolingbrook, and that was an exciting game. You had a punt return for a touchdown by Ryan Aruche, and he and Josh Williams are a dynamic duo. They can get the ball in the backfield, you can split them out wide, and those are the type of guys that can be X factors to a deep playoff run.
You know, those are the type of, as a coach, and I like when coaches take advantage of their players. They're saying, you guys are some of the best players on our team. You're not just going to be running back. You're not just going to be, wide receiver. I'm going to put you all over the place. I'm going to find unique ways to get you the ball. And I think that's, imperative, especially when you get in the playoffs because, other teams are studying your game tapes and they're seeing you run the ball one way. You start doing some other stuff and it really flips their whole situation. So I really like what they got going over there. Like you said, 7 wins after the first 2 losses.
Yep.
Losing to Glenbard West.
Yeah,
which is okay, and Bolingbrook, which is a good team, and it looks like they were still trying to get their feet at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
This is the sleeper team that people aren't looking at.
Yeah, and since those 2 losses, they've either given up 14 points or a shutout. 41-0 against Leiden, 17-14 rivalry game, Downers North. Anything can happen there.
Yeah.
42-0 against Willowbrook, 28-0 against Proviso East, 27-0 against Hinsdale South, 28-14 Addison Trail, 41-14 Morton. And I was also at that Downers North game at Downers North, and Ryan Aruche was hurt for that game. And so it was pretty much the Josh Williams show. Well, what's happened since then is Danny Leach has emerged a little bit. Danny Leach has a 100-yard rushing game under his belt. So they found another weapon in the backfield, which makes it even bigger for the potential of, we can get Williams and Roche out something like a slot wide receiver, still have a running back there that people know, this guy ran. So we can't assume this is a pass because they still got a guy back there who they're confident in the ball with. And AJ Simoncelli is an effective game manager. They're not really gonna go take a lot of deep shots, but he can find the open receiver. He can convert some first downs for you. Obviously, 7-2. The problem being, of their wins, only 1 was against a winning team. That's 5-4 Addison Trail. So, but obviously they played Bolingbrook tough. They played Glenbard West tough.
Yep.
So they're capable.
Those games could have went either way.
Yeah, absolutely. 5-pointer against Glenbard West. They got Nequa in the first round. I got Downers South. You got the Wildcats. What does Downers Grove South have to do to get the win in your mind?
I think it's one of those things where Nequa Valley is they're looking at the Downers Grove South School and they're just like they're not exactly what they what they've been. Nequa Valley had some good games this year, and I don't know. I have the feeling I got the Nequa win on this one.
Yeah, I think I got Downers South, and I think that setting up a potential Mount Carmel Downers South second round, and I think with these weapons, Downers South's type of team that give Mount Carmel trouble, because if you look at the Loyola game where Loyola gave them a run, they were passing around on the outside, using their skill position guys. And again, I just think there's so many things you can do to be imaginative when you have Williams and Roche and Leach.
Oh, it's a lot easier when you have athletes.
Yeah, and there's so many different spots. Line them up in a wildcat type formation where Williams is the quarterback and Roche is the running back, and run them on an option. What linebackers running around they're going to keep up with both those guys running an option like that?
Not many.
Yeah, those are such weapons to have, and obviously we talked about how no winning records, but I read out the scores. They've mostly dominated accordingly, and I think that they're definitely a team that hasn't been talked about much. Sort of like how we talked about Maine South earlier. You know, they lost their first 2 games. You lose 2 in a row to start the year. You're off the radar. And they didn't have that marquee game. They obviously had the Downers North rivalry game, but they didn't have that marquee game where they won it, and you're like, whoa, you know, these guys are back on the map because they just beat a real big team, like Lions did when they beat Glenbard West in Week 9. And I just think that there's going to be the disrespect, and they're going to want to live up to some of the past teams that made runs, including state championships. And I think they're going to beat Neuqua, and I really think Mount Carmel's going to have to play a good game to beat Downers Grove South because of the athletes they have. I think that Williams and Roche are definitely the type of guys that can take touches away from Michael Banks in the back.
Yeah, well, you know, that's definitely a potential good matchup. Downers Grove South, as I said earlier, they're in a great position. Definitely in the Class 8A, not a lot of people are looking at them. They're also a program that's been there before. You know, obviously these kids, you know, weren't on the same teams that, you know, I definitely was following when I was in high school, but, you know, the coaching staff and the people around the program, you know, they still have the same expectations. So Downers Grove South is not a school that when you hear, one, they're in the playoffs, you're surprised, or they went far, you're surprised. You're like, yeah, that's a team that's been there before, they've won it before, they're a really talented team. So I think they're in a great position. They definitely got great coaching. They got the great athletes. You know, they won their last 7 games, and so now they're hot.
Yeah,
and,
confident.
And what's the best time? The best time to get hot is going right into the playoffs. You don't want to get too hot too early, too late. This team, you know, they definitely have some things going for them to mess up some people's you know, Class 8A rankings.
Yeah, and they're not going to be scared of Neuqua Valley. In fact, they get Neuqua at home, which is one of the reasons I'm picking them. And I don't think they're going to be scared of Mount Carmel. And I think, you know, that's certainly a factor when a lot of teams play the Mount Carmel and the Joliet Catholics.
Without a doubt.
You know, they're like, okay, Mount Carmel, we're not supposed to beat Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
But Downer South, I think they have the type of program, the type of athletes to say we are supposed to beat the Mount Carmels because we've been there before. So Downers Grove South, tough couple first games here, but I think, you know, that bottom part of that quadrant that has LT at the top, I think it's going to come out of there. I think Mount Carmel and Downers South, in my opinion, are the 2 best teams in that quadrant, and I've got Mount Carmel in the semis. But if Downers South upsets Mount Carmel, to me, it's Downers South in the semis. And I know you like Neuqua, and so we'll obviously differ on that one. I mean, we seem to be different a lot in our playoff picks.
Yeah,
so,
well, like you said, one of us can pick one team, one of us can be right.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the right one is the question.
Yeah. So who's the right one? Who's just jinxing everybody? So that wraps it up for our playoff previews. Downers South, number 25. Friday kickoffs, not that far away.
It's
round
right
1.
The corner.
About to kick off, and we'll start sorting out all the teams and all the picks, and there's definitely going to be some upsets, I'm sure, and we'll have a much clearer picture when we meet next time when we're looking at round 2 matchups in all the classes, 5A through 8A around the state of Illinois. So until next time, this has been Downers Grove South's playoff preview at IllinoisPrep.com.
Tilt your head back and close your eyes.